Are you constructing your dream villa? In this video, we will be discussing the three biggest problems people face while constructing the villa, which is firstly, overshooting the timelines, secondly, crossing the budgets, and thirdly, dealing with unprofessional vendors. Hi there, this is Kunal here, the co-founder and CEO of Just Fence, and we deal with thousands of people who are building their villa for their fencing needs. And what we have seen is that they face these three major issues. So what can you actually do about it? Firstly is when it comes to overshooting the timelines, a very important thing is how much time are we actually spending on planning? There's a saying that every 1 hour that you spend in planning helps you to save 1 day in execution. And this is the reason why you see that in India, many times we just rush into construction. Of course, we do planning, but we don't really go into so much of details. But if you see in Western countries like US or in UAE, people spend so much time over planning. In fact, we have seen like buildings which are as tall as 50 storied, 100 storied get constructed in just 1.5 years to 2 years to 3 years. Why? Because they spend so much time in planning. Of course, they have the latest tools and equipments as well, but planning is also something which is very critical. So please do plan well in advance. So that is the first. The second thing is in terms of overshooting the budget. Now, the main reason why the budgets shoot up is one is, of course, if there's a delay. So what we have to do? We have to do planning. The second reason why the budgets tend to overshoot is because what we have budgeted, and when it comes to the time of execution, the prices have increased or the actual prices is actually much more. So what is it that you can do? And see, this is something which is always going to happen because when we are constructing, it is almost impossible to get all the rates because there are thousands of items which are used in constructing a villa. So it's impossible to get all the rates. So what you should be doing is that when you take your villa, like what you have to divide everything into 3 buckets. So the first bucket is what we call as the most critical thing. So these are non-negotiables. You will not compromise at any cost, no matter whatever the pricing is for these 10-15 elements, because that is very critical to your particular project. The second is reasonably important, which is very important, particularly from a functional point of view, or else living will become very difficult. And the third bracket is things which are possibly not so much critical, and it is okay if you don't go for the best brand. It's okay if you go for a type B or a type C brand in that non-critical thing. So whenever you experience that you are actually crossing the budget, what you can do is you should never kind of compromise on the type A and the type B things. On the type C, yes, you can actually compromise by going for a type B or a type C brand. This way you can somehow kind of come closer to the budget. Now the third problem that you normally face, which is you're dealing with unprofessional vendors. So, and this is something which makes building homes a nightmare, because it is such a pain point dealing with those unprofessional vendors who don't pick up the calls and so on and so forth. So what are the things that you can do to ensure that you're not dealing with an unprofessional vendor? So 3 things you can do. The first thing, what you need to do is what we called as a reference check. Let's say if any of your close friends or anybody who has done or your neighbors have done a construction before, and if they have a vendor contact, you can take the reference check from them, how their experience was. So this is something which is very critical. Most of us do it. The second thing what you can do is please check out the Google ratings or the YouTube testimonials of that particular vendor. Now, normally what you will see is that if a vendor has very high Google ratings, they are more than likely not going to compromise with their reputation, and they will do everything that it takes to ensure that they deliver a great experience for you. So that is the second point. The third very important parameter is how is your pre-sales experience? When you get in touch with them, how is it that they're interacting with you? Are they giving you quotations on time? Whenever you're calling them for clarifications, are they picking up your phone? Are they prompt? Why is this important? Because see, whenever these vendors, when they will be working, let's say if anything goes wrong, who is the first person that you'll be contacting? You'll be contacting the salesperson. But if the salesperson hasn't really been so prompt or hasn't really been kind of giving a great experience, then I really think you need to kind of reconsider, is it really worth dealing with that particular vendor? And sometimes it's better to cut something right at the nip it in the bud. Because later on the experience could be extremely horrible, particularly if the salesperson has not been responsive. So let's summarize what we have learned from this video. So we have learned three things. So the first thing is, what do we do to control our timelines? Planning. 1 hour of planning saves you 1 day in execution. The second thing is in terms of shooting the budget. What you can do is you can bucket things into 3 buckets, which is the most critical, reasonably critical, and the not so critical things. And if you find that things are overshooting, compromise on the third bucket, not on the first and the second 2 buckets. And the third thing is dealing with unprofessional vendors. We saw the 3 factors that you should see. One is the reference check. The second is the 5-star Google, how many 5-star Google ratings they have. And the third thing is, how is your pre-sales experience? I hope you got some value out of this video. If you like the content, please do subscribe to our channel and like the video so that we can create more such useful content for you. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.